Hi, all. I welcome you to the Building Culture podcast where I invite incredibly smart people who build things. Whether they be engineers, entrepreneurs, programmers, hobbyists, or researchers, it does not matter. As long as you're someone who's passionate about building things, I'll find you and podcast you. Hi, all. I want to take a brief moment to thank you all personally for supporting this podcast on YouTube and on all major podcast platforms, including Google Podcasts and Spotify. The podcast mainly features interesting people in robotics, artificial intelligence, and entrepreneurship. If you believe that the information that I'm providing might be of benefit to you or to someone you know, it would be really great if you could hit the subscribe button and press the notification icon so that you can get notified on time whenever the next part is out. It would literally take you a second or two to subscribe to the podcast, but it would really mean a lot to me because I can grow the podcast to a level where I can reach more people, invite ever more interesting guests, and have a more meaningful impact. So let's begin now.
Okay, so because of now I can see how your evolution gradually happened to the position that you are now in, because you started as a developer, but then you also got exposure to the sales area and the more business side of things. And so you understand things from all of these perspectives, and which you can now, use it in your current role now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now can you also tell us about the research position that you had about your thesis work where you built the human following robot, right?
Yeah, yeah. So my thesis, I did it in 2012. It was actually the task was, as I said, like the robot has to uh, identify a human standing in front and then
Mhm.
track that person and move with it.
Yeah.
So it could be used in multiple use cases in healthcare, in hotel reception industry, or in exhibitions. So it could be used in multiple domain, the same application. The thing, even like one of the application was this indoor cleaning and all that robots, so where human can make the robot follow. So the application are wide, but the task was identify a human and follow him, even though you have obstacles, even though you have
Okay.
multiple people in the scene, and then you follow. So at that time we had Kinect, which was like a color and depth camera to
Mhm.
get more like data of both RGB data and also the depth data. And then I used like a machine learning method that time, like support vector machines, to detect the human and also track multiple things, your like stats like height, weight, width, and what kind of shirt you're wearing, what kind of
Mhm.
pants, and so the clothes. And then it tracks you, and then it also detects obstacles and does planning to move around when there are obstacles. And then it also had to be robust in different lighting changing conditions. This is one of the most difficult part in computer vision. Before, of course, in machine learning, it has, with neural networks, it has improved a lot in object
Mhm.
detection and tracking. But in those days, it was a very difficult thing because you have to handcraft your features and write
Mhm.
down which features would be working best, and then you choose those features and input into the machine learning algorithm. So that is the time we did not even have those neural networks and AI. So
Yeah. So
that's what
deep learning was not
not really
developed
started.
that
Well,
time.
deep learning came after 2012 when
Yeah.
AlexNet was successful. So at that time, I was working on this histogram of gradient features for
Mhm.
detecting humans, and then support vector, and I also use Kalman filter and for doing my tracking and doing like more estimation, because if you just track, the important thing is to also like, for example, if I detect a location of the object, what would be the object location in the next instance, I can predict using Kalman filter. And then when
Mhm.
I detect it, I can modify my thing. So it reduces you to avoid noises, because sometimes what happens if you just detect a human, it sometimes it can also say a chair is a human. So it
Okay.
could happen with the support vector machine. You can have humans located in the sky or in the roof ceiling top. So I use Kalman filter to stabilize my detection, that the person is always detected at the right. And because this is the similar technology you also use in ballistic missiles. So ballistic missiles are continuously tracked and guided using Kalman filters.
Hmm.
So the same technology I used on top of computer vision. So computer vision with Kalman filters together,
Okay.
it became very robust and in tracking the human and its path and trajectory.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was my master thesis, which I worked, and then I added also laser sensors on top of it. So I had RGB camera, depth sensor plus laser, because laser was also used to build the map. So I was getting
Yeah.
the distance data. So I'm getting really the depth data because laser has a much better resolution compared to just the IR sensor. I use the laser data and use the visible spectrum data from the camera and merge it together. So there was a sensor fusion also happening from Kinect and the laser, Hukoyo laser. That was the laser I used, and of course it all happened in the ROS platform using OpenCV also in the library. Yeah,
And I remember we talked about this thing in our meetups, right? About autonomous cleaning robots. When we were talking about, you explained that, yeah, I worked with this stuff. And when we deconstructed the Brain Corp autonomous cleaners, right?
exactly.
So yeah, there's like interesting technology that we have with Visual Slam and feature detection, OpenCV packages and everything. Yeah.
Exactly.
So uh, so you worked in research, and now you are in industry, and now you're working on the business side of things. So how does one actually decide which direction to go in? Because one is academia and just focusing on theoretical research, and another is industry. Of course, there's like industrial research as well. But do you have some suggestions, or what is your view of how does one make a decision of which direction one should choose?
I think I think this question can be answered very easily. It's about so you need to choose. It means you need to first understand what you really like and what you are capable of. So you have to take those two things into consideration. So
Okay.
if you first really think that like this is something I really like and I understand, and
Hmm.
then you next point is how much can I already do and how much I think I'm capable of. So that
Okay.
you have to really make a balance between wishful thinking and reality. So sometimes we can say, okay, I'll become an astronaut and
Hmm.
to Mars. So that is like a very wishful thinking, but it's not really realistic. But then you
Hmm.
can know, okay, I'm a master student robotics. I understand those technology stack, and of course, I need to work with a company like KUKA or a company like ABB. That could be something like a realistic thing. So first, understand your yourself, like your passion, and then see what is your capability and try to map those things and try to find and make a decision. Of course, you can also say I am very good at academics and I like to teach people. That is
Hmm.
something I really love about. So you can go into academics and start teaching people and become a professor or
Yeah.
work in the university. So it's all about the right decision will always depend on your understanding of yourself, because
Hmm.
sometimes also we understand ourselves, but we take wrong decisions because we don't know what we are capable of. So that's something. So you
Okay.
need to have a balance between those two and go after what you think. So you have to always back yourself, because many people have a lot of good dreams and they know they're also capable, but they have some doubt about themselves, like they see risks and they're not willing to take those risks. So sometimes to become like to get what you want, you have to go through some of the risks. So you have to, if it's good if you can calculate the amount of risk. It's always good to calculate, but there will be sometimes you have to take some risks, and
Hmm.
it might fail. So it will never always like have a very positive result. It's fine, but every negative result is also a learning. So you learn
Hmm.
from what you what you're not doing successfully. So that's why I think the main thing, suggestion from my side would be like understand yourself and back yourself, and then go for it. Then
Okay.
automatically you will find your path. So that will happen
Yeah.
eventually.
So it's interesting that you pointed out that there are two aspects of it and not just one, because one is, of course, the traditional advice, right? Just follow what you're interested in. But the other thing is also like you have to analyze, are you really good at this, or can you become good at that with effort? So balancing both of these. I don't know if you've heard of it, but there's this ikigai thing, right? There's this ikigai chart which has which are actually which is a diagram with four different circles, and one shows what area you are interested in, which you love to do. Other
Yeah.
is what the yeah what you're good at, so the capable thing, and the other is what can earn you money, because that is also important. And I think I what was the fourth one again? So it's I think along the lines of uh, what contribution can it make, can it be used to serve people, I think along those lines. But yeah, I think the idea that you're sharing is kind of related to the ikigai diagram that is used.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I can tell you, I would not ask somebody to put like the highest preference on the financial aspect, because I can tell you for sure, um, if you create value, you earn the value. So it's always like this. So if you do what I said just now, that you understand yourself and see your vision and then work towards it, um, then automatically it happens that you start creating value for everybody around you. And when you create value for everybody around you, it will also happen that you create value for yourself. And at some point of time, people will recognize that, and you will definitely start earning that value. So the
Mm.
finance part will always follow once you are doing those two things correctly.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, that part will definitely. But if you really begin from there, okay, let's search what are the best, highest paying fields. Then the
Mm.
problem happens is that your wishful thinking that increases so much that you go out of your passion. You think you really misunderstand your passion. For
Okay,
example,
okay.
you think, okay, a data scientist job pays very high. Then what happens? You really think data science is my passion,
Mm.
because you are just motivated by looking at a number which says that you get very good money.
Mm.
But then if you really see what are the projects happening in data science and what kind of value data science creates, and then you say this is my passion because I understand it,
Mm.
that's a different way of looking at it. But if you just see data science and say, okay, it's highly paid and that's why I'm doing it, then you will just misinterpret your own passion. So you
Yeah,
think
makes
it's my
sense.
passion, but it's just wrong. It's the basis of your passion just was like a wrong one, so it will lead you into wrong direction.
Mm.
Yeah.
And we can also see it from your journey, because you were always like because you were interested in computer vision, not because computer vision was probably going to make you rich or anything, right? You
Uh,
were following this thing and you were improving your skills, and so you were just balancing these two aspects. And
yeah.
it makes sense that once you are, let's say, very capable at a particular field, then money would probably follow automatically, right? This
I
is
think
the
it's
point
not
that
probably, I think it will follow because,
yeah.
as I said, you will start creating value. When you start creating value, people will notice that and they start creating value for you. People will notice you. That is
Yeah.
for sure. And today, social media, it's very easy to be noticed if you do something. So it's not going to be hidden at all.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think this perspective would be helpful to a lot of people. So also, just taking a step back to the to your role at Yen Optics. So, can you also talk about your current role? Maybe what areas you're responsible for currently?
So yeah, I think yeah, digital transformation as a whole is a portfolio
Yeah.
which will target multiple directions of improving um, using digital tools. For example, how can you improve your sales using digital tools? How can you improve your operations using digital tools? How can you improve your productions using digital tools? How can you do better marketing using digital tools? And how can you do better product development, and also how can you provide better service to using this. So this is a whole portfolio. So I am right now working on a part of the portfolio which would be like how can we provide better services like using digital tools, and how can we improve in the product development part using digital tools, so more agile tools, and how can we use
Mm.
better cloud technologies, and how can we improve those sides. So more about digital products and services, and like creating digital business models, particularly in those areas.
Okay.
So I will definitely target all our business domains. So as I said, the OEM sector. The second is the manufacturing and automation sector. The third
Mm.
one is the traffic and civil security. So civil and
Yeah.
these all areas I will be responsible and working together with our product managers and R&D heads, product management heads. But at the same time, my goal will be focused on creating value in the direction of products and services.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. So, about the technology at Yen Optic, could you also give in simplistic terms, could you also explain how computer vision is being used for optical devices, like a very broad,
I can give you multiple examples. I think that will help you a lot.
yeah,
First, easy example is today with Corona, everybody was tracking temperature, right?
yeah,
So Jenoptik was producing infrared cameras or infrared systems, vision-based systems, which was used at airports or public places to track human temperature in COVID time. So that is
okay,
just an example of one of the products at Jenoptik. The second, of course, I clearly told you about security and traffic security is we have the speed cameras,
mm,
which is detecting high speeds, checking tolls, and also to see like, okay, at a particular time, how is the traffic at a particular place. So you can see, okay, now it's really there is like too much traffic at this area, or is it less traffic. Even we have systems which is tracking offenders, like if some car is stolen,
mm,
then the police can actually use our services or our softwares and cameras to track that stolen car, and that can be
ah,
detected. So this is something we are also doing um, as a product. The other thing, computer vision. So as I said, in that one you are using number plate recognition, which actually uses computer vision. The other one, first I said, which was infrared thermal temperature detection, is also using IR cameras. The other one is manufacturing quality assurance, where we are using um, inspection cameras to 2D and 3D cameras to see defects in the manufacturing. So if you're producing a metal part or a plastic part or a glass part, you can have scratches, you can have hit marks, you can have broken areas on the edges, and those are needed to be controlled for during production. It could be automotive sector, it could be like aerospace sector, it could be like a normal manufacturing for other industries. There we have our systems and camera based inspection systems, which is
okay,
really detecting defects on the production process and ensuring quality. So yeah, I mean these are different. And other one I said, like, again, it's not computer vision, it's optics, so laser processing. So you're using laser beams to cut, weld, and creating those airbags. You see, not really airbags, but in the car you really have some slots where the airbags are popping out. So
mm,
normally, if you see from outside, or the view from the user side, you see
mm,
everything looks nice at the dashboard. But behind the dashboard, there is a weakening which happens using laser. So that's how it
okay,
makes sure that when there is a blast happening before the airbag is pushed out, that the blast makes sure that dashboard is open correctly at the right way, and not really small parts are flying out, and then you are getting.
ah,
So there is a particular type of weakening which happens behind the dashboard using laser, and then that makes sure that the airbag is coming at the right way. So that is something also Jenoptik does, and we are like a market leader in that. So yeah,
okay,
application of optics and computer vision is extremely high at
mm,
another would be also like microscopes and cell, for example, cancer detection. You're putting like a slide below the microscope. So Yanoptic has cameras and systems which is able to do that what human will do. So normally a human would
ah,
look at that, but basically today you don't really need a human. You just put the slide. There's a optic system and there is a camera. The camera is doing what a human would do and detect those cancer cells. So Yanoptic
mm,
worked together with Google, like I think 2 years ago, and we have systems which are actually used by healthcare industry to track cancer cells using
okay,
deep learning and our hardware systems.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, also, what the so we know each other also from quite some time because of the meetups and other things. So, what I understand from you is that you're always you have this mindset of always trying to learn things, right? Continuously learning new and new things, and even after so much experience you still have this childlike curiosity, so to say. I'll first target this question from a computer vision perspective. So for a field like computer vision, I think a lot of people are starting to be interested in this field like you were, for example, several years ago. So what are your suggestions of how does one self teach themselves computer vision, because everything is available online these days, and probably it's not really impossible to teach yourself. So how do you look at that?
I think, yeah, for the first thing, the students who are already studying, I'm sure they already have been inspired by something in this field, so that's why they
Yeah.
have joined. And if somebody is not there, of course they will be eventually motivated by seeing the applications of computer vision getting more and more and more.
Hmm.
So yeah, that part of coming into and studying is not the main thing, but then how to become successful after you start studying, that is where really the important question would be.
Okay.
I think important would be to continuously read and surf to see like what kind of applications are being developed, and attending, like for example events like what you do, this kind of meetup. So I think this is a very important thing, bringing together different intelligent people and discussing projects and all. So first thing, try to get to know what others are doing, what kind of projects, what kind of technology they're using, and then come up with your own idea of your own hobby projects. So you create idea of creating hobby projects and then start working on them parallelly to what you just do at your university, because this is very important, that to develop your own character of what you do, you need to have your own idea and work on it. If you
Okay.
just of course you can start with copying what somebody else did, like okay, you have an example application and GitHub code, just copy it and start working and then see recreate that thing, but then see how you can modify and improve that thing or do something. For example, you have those Kaggle challenges, you can also participate. There's a challenge and then you do your own way and provide like a solution to that. So being more proactive, getting more involved in this, particularly at young age. So when you're starting studying, there is a high energy, just need to channel
Hmm.
those energy in the right way. And I'm sure that a lot of the students today definitely like have been surrounded by digital tools which really is not productive. For example, Instagram, Facebook, and all. There is a lot of time which goes out. I'm not telling like
Okay.
everybody is into that, but I'm sure that many will acknowledge that they are having this concept of hooking people and
Hmm.
making sure that they are plugged into and doing things which is not really productive. So if you spend 2 hours in Instagram, you never realize the 2 hours are gone.
Hmm.
So you have to actively think that I'm spending 2 hours on spending an internet. How much do I really make out of it? So how much is really valuable to me? Of course, and how much percentage just for entertainment? So that balance of entertainment and education has to be done. So that's something I'm telling particular because today it's very relevant that mostly students really lose a lot of time because of those
Hmm.
digital involvement. Like okay, you go to LinkedIn, how do you use LinkedIn? How much is it really for your betterment? I mean, of course you're networking, that's one part of it, but then do you really actively um, like gather information and try to work on that, or it's just about some like
Scrolling through
entertainment?
the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
So this way, for example, you go to Instagram, you see they have a lot of filters.
Hmm.
As a computer vision engineer, it's not about seeing waste 2 hours in Instagram, but then analyzing how does the Instagram filters work, how do
Ah.
they make those image processing filters and video editing filters. So that would be something you would be, as an engineer or computer vision engineer, interested in and try to work out and do something on your own. So you always have to see what I am looking in front of me, how this technology is working behind. So I'm just talking
Okay.
more about technology perspective. So first think as a
Mhm.
technology or a development side. So you will be very much interested in technology. So unless you
Okay.
really get motivated to create better technology, you will not start learning. So learning
Hmm.
only starts when you get fascinated and really love something you see, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's
if you
an
see,
interesting
yeah,
point.
exactly. So
Yeah, so so there's a bunch of things that you talked about that were really interesting. So one thing you mentioned was that first of all, to learn a skill, you should take up a project, but at the same time, don't take any project. Maybe take some idea that you find fascinating or
yeah,
interesting, and then you would be motivated to work on it. And another thing was about like flipping the script of like how people spend time on Instagram. But if you want to spend time, maybe analyze the technology behind it, because they are using machine learning, all these kinds of things as well.
exactly,
So
exactly. So, I mean, if you see, if you go to shop on Amazon as an engineer, I don't just look at how good is Amazon. I actually look what technology are they using. For example, how does Amazon understand if I click on this product, what next product I will be interested in? How does it work? So, recommender
recommendation.
system.
Yeah.
So, how does recommender system work? What kind of technology is being used? So, you have to question all the time everything that's thrown in front of you as a technology guy. I still
Yeah.
remember when I came to Germany, I was like bombarded with technology all around. For example, if I'm just entering a train, like I'm taking a normal S-Bahn or a ICE, it's full of technology. There are sensors, automatic closing of doors, detecting people standing there. So I was fascinated with those all technologies when I came to Germany because I was always asking question, how does it work? So what sensor I used, like light sensors, laser sensors, and what kind of actuators are used for these doors to close automatically, how so what is the technology behind? And whenever I walked around, everything I saw technology, I started questioning, what is this thing, how does it work? It's the same thing happened when I went to the production factories of car companies. I can tell you, car company production sites are like a heaven for engineers. If you go inside, you see every possible latest technology being implemented inside the productions. So
Hmm.
it could be computer vision, it could be digital signal processing, it could be design engineering, everything you see in automotive plants. And I was fascinated. You see robotics, like small robots, big robots, very big robots, all
Hmm.
that you see. And then you just get, as an engineer who is curious, you just, okay, how does it work? What is the technology behind? And like I can tell you, if you have this attitude to analyze everything you see around you, you would be super motivated to start learning. And in this process of just being interested, within 1 year you will learn so much that people around you will be amazed to see that you know so much. And
Okay.
this could be really something I can suggest to anybody, that just stay curious around everything you see in front of your eyes.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions regarding this. What was really fascinating is that you get excited and curious about real world technology and what is happening around you. What I also want to understand is, once you get curious, what do you do? Like, what kind of questions do you ask? Or I want to understand the system behind that.
Yeah, I mean, I gave you this example recommender, but think like a small thing, like for example, your car wiper.
Yeah,
Your car wiper is in this automatic mode, and it starts wiping when the rain happens. Have you questioned how does it work? What is the technology? How
mm,
does the rain gets detected, and how does this wiper move?
yeah,
And so this is just a simple example of,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
actually, you can say this is an intelligent system because there is some kind of logic program behind it, and there are some behind it. But then
Mm.
just imagine every day you are sitting in front in a car, and this wiper would like start wiping even though at a small age when you sit in a car. But
Yeah.
if as a child, normally children are very curious.
Hmm.
Children actually ask questions. If you just observe a child, they will always ask. But when we start growing, we stop questioning. We
Hmm.
stop questioning these kind of very silly questions, because somebody might think, ah, it's a silly thing. It just wipes the car. It's normal. But then there is an engineering thing behind it. It took
Mm.
many researchers to really come up with a solution like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
uh,
especially for automotive, I think it's been for so many years that the technology is now robust and established, and there's a reason for every small detail that they do in the design.
yeah, like every part of automotive, there's a history behind it. And I'm not talking about just automotive. You can,
Yeah,
for example, today you can have some kind of like a remote button where you are able to turn on and off a lamp. Yeah, the
yeah,
lamp, a normal lamp, you can just turn off. You can change the color. So how does it work? What way do they communicate? What could, like, you can ask a few questions like, okay, what is the technology being used? What is the cost of something like that? How can I do something myself? Like, for example,
yeah.
can I just start using an Arduino or some kind of small IC and start like looking, can I do this myself? Like using a small infrared remote and try
Hmm.
to control that. Because this, trust me, you can do this below 10, 15 euros.
Okay.
This thing which you see, you can buy for maybe 20, 30 euros. You can do this yourself at home with only 10 euros. Or maybe if you buy from China, you can do it with 5
Hmm.
euros.
Okay.
So with 5 euros, you can implement as an engineer this technology. Now the
Hmm.
thing is that, but then the question is, first you have to ask a question. See, okay, it's not just fascinating that this is working and improving my life, but then as an engineer, my task would be, can I do this myself? And what
Can I
are the
build
things?
this myself?
Yeah, and then it's not difficult. You just start typing how the remote based lamps are working. That is just
Okay.
like a basic thing. The next thing today, you can control this lamp even from your smartphone using an app, so
Hmm.
IoT based. Now, how does it work? Like, how can I open an app and press the button and turn on and off the lights of my home? How does
Hmm.
it work? It looks nice, but an engineer should not just say nice. An engineer should be able to explain how this works.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so if you are starting to question like that, and I can tell you, as you said, the answers are all there in the internet.
Yeah,
Today, it's all there, but you will only be able to access when you start asking those questions.
yeah. So
And
one question I have regarding this is basically, so this is about being curious, right? And we also see this trait. This is a trait which was to a very high degree in the greatest geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein. All those people were really curious. But one, like for example, Leonardo da Vinci, I studied a bit of his biography. So he would get curious about like seemingly unimportant things, like how the tongue of a woodpecker might look like. He would write those things in his to-do lists. But then like the thing because I mean he was also like he was Leonardo da Vinci, right? So he could go, he could be curious about everything and he could study all those things. But like for us mere human beings, so to say, we are still like, for example, computer vision is one field, or one aspect of robotics or something. So should we be curious only? Should we be constraining our curiosity, or like letting it run wild and then it somehow helps us in the one field we are in? Does it make sense?
I think you cannot control your curiosity, because curiosity, once you develop this curious habit, it will translate into everything. It will
Yeah.
not just translate into a particular field. It will also automatically translate or traverse to different areas. Like I said, if you start doing this and with computer vision, you will
Yeah.
start doing the same thing outside of computer vision. You will
Okay.
start doing on just normal browsers, how the browsers are working. It's nothing to do with computer vision, but you start questioning because you start developing this habit of being curious. Then curiosity will translate with everywhere. I
Okay.
don't really think that you can decide today, okay, I will only start asking questions to myself in the direction of computer vision. That you cannot do, because curiosity itself is an attitude, a nature which starts
Hmm.
growing the more you really practice it,
Okay.
and it will be automatically affecting your complete personality as a whole, and you will not be restricted or constrained to any particular area. That won't happen.
So you can't constrain it according to you.
No, I can't constrain myself. I ask questions
Okay.
everywhere. Even like when I start developing a PowerPoint, when I see a
Okay.
feature how it is, I will ask question, how does feature work? Like if
Okay.
so. this, I will just try to search and try to learn. And I
Hmm.
can tell you a tip: if you start searching queries in YouTube related to this way, your
Okay.
YouTube becomes awesomely designed for you. So what happens? YouTube will provide your dashboard based on what you learn or what
Yeah,
you really
yeah,
watch. And
yeah.
when you start questioning and starting searching this kind of things, your YouTube dashboard will becoming automatic source of information for you, even though you don't ask questions. So
Okay.
that's the best part of it. Machine learning AI will start really working in your favor that way, because
Oh,
they
wow.
know that you are looking for information and they start pushing more information to you. So it starts getting
Okay.
more and more exponentially growing and helping you. That's, as I said,
Yeah.
active asking questions. And then YouTube will already set up questions which you might ask. Then
Oh, wow.
already will know that, okay, this guy had asked me a question: how does a fountain work? Yeah, that's the
Hmm.
question. And they will see, okay, so how does like the automatic lighting control systems are working? So they will already put videos which will be similar to the question you asked.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you get my point? So
yeah.
this is like something which, it's really lucky that maybe Da Vinci did not have before.
Yeah.
So he had to ask every question
He had to
himself.
ask himself,
Today,
yeah.
technology is there which will observe you and help you in improving what you really want.
Ah.
If you go to LinkedIn Learning, they will ask you a question, okay, which are the areas you want to develop?
Hmm.
And then they start suggesting you courses which you want to do, and you really start taking those courses and you learn. So there is a automation IT technology just helping you to do what you really want and speeding the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Hmm. Hmm. I
So
think there's like two directions we can take. So one is about the curiosity and learning, which we'll cover first, and then after that, I'm also interested in knowing your take on digital products, because there's two aspects. I think you're aware of both of these aspects, and you know how to take the positive aspects of digital products into account, because you talked about the negative way Instagram and other apps are being used, but at the same time, like customizing your YouTube feed to making yourself more curious or helping you discover the right content.
yeah,
this
exactly.
this is one direction as well. So first, let's talk about the skill development side. So apart from the traditional the tool based skills that we talk about, Python, OpenCV, I think everyone knows about those that are used for computer vision, machine learning, PyTorch, all these things. So apart from that, what you are laying emphasis on is curiosity and actually having the mindset to be continuously learning. So what are the traits that one should cultivate to uh, constantly uh, be growing in a career, but at the same time be like enjoying the process, which you are doing as well right now?
Yeah, I think, I mean, as I said, curiosity itself leads to your enjoyment, because when you are curious about something and you try to find it out, that process of finding out will make you enjoy that, because
Yeah.
you're just trying to find what you really want to know. And not
Hmm.
because, just the difference is, if a teacher asks you go and find something and tell me tomorrow, that is not an enjoyable process, because it's a homework and I have to go and do it.
Hmm.
Then when you were the guy who asked yourself that how this thing works, and you go to find it out, then what happens? You enjoy that whole process, because you don't have a timeline, you don't have like a pressure of somebody telling you to do that thing. So
Hmm.
that process is initiated by you, driven by you, so you will automatically enjoy it.
Yeah.
The enjoyment is part of that, because you are the person who drives. So every time you drive yourself, you will always enjoy the journey. Every time somebody else drives you and forces you, then human mind tries to reject that. That's a behavior. It starts even as a young kid. When you tell a
Okay.
child that do this, the child will just do the opposite, because
Hmm.
they don't really want to do that. But then when they are curious and they want to do that, they will really enjoy doing that. Just
Hmm.
understand. You
Yeah.
know it's good for the kid. You will tell them, but the kid won't do that, because
Because it's not intrinsically
it's not
driven.
driven and initiated by them themselves.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
they themselves initiate and start it, they will start enjoying that thing. So
Okay.
enjoyment is not really something, but important part here is actually commitment, because
Hmm.
how long you stay committed to doing what you really want. Because sometimes what happens, okay, I really have interest, but then I just forget that I don't put enough commitment to it. So you have to, this laziness is something, it's the biggest enemy of you. So if you really want to do something, and this laziness always comes, comfort, and okay, I want to sleep more on weekends, or I want to just
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow, maybe later. These words really are the biggest enemies. So if you
Hmm.
really thought, okay, this is something I'm interested in, then just start going into it and get completely immersed into it. And that way, that's it. So curiosity is automatically making the journey enjoyable, but then
Hmm.
at some point you will need the commitment also being there, because you
Okay.
might start it but you might not finish it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you are curious, okay, I want to learn it, you register for a course. Now the point is, only curiosity will not drive you to finish that course. To finish that course, what will drive you is the commitment and pushing yourself and constantly telling, I have to
Hmm.
do it, I have to do it, I have to do it. And
Yeah.
because every time it will not be really very much
Easy or
easy.
yeah.
Tough thing will come, and when tough things come, that commitment and attitude will move you forward. Like,
Okay.
so
That's
you have to
interesting.
develop that as well, not just
Yeah.
curiosity.
Hmm. And also about developing curiosity, basically, you talk about like curiosity as something that can be developed, right? As a trait. So, do you think like there's an artificial way of cultivating curiosity, or is
This
it more?
artificial way is like, so actively, so let's say from tomorrow onwards you start thinking this way, and like ask questions, and then you also write down, like let's say you start writing some questions and which you have, and then
Yeah.
uh, before you go to sleep, normally every time you will spend some time on your phone, right? So half an hour, 1 hour, everybody most of the time are sleeping in the bed and holding a phone and looking at something. So try to see those questions, you can put it on a paper or you put it in your to do notes in the phone,
Yeah.
and try to search for those questions. You start doing that for a couple of days, I am sure you will see that the interest, it will like starting to get exponentially increasing, because
Okay.
you are making a habit. Your habit is already there, that you're looking at your phone before you sleep, that's a habit. But then you are adding this habit of searching, which you already thought in the whole day. So you are just
Okay.
adding this part of your habit. So habit is something which makes or develops your, you can say, traits, because when you start doing something repeatedly, your brain thinks it's very important, and then it's
Okay.
become part of your daily thing. So if you every day think like, let's say I have to wake up at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and you do that every day, and after some time you feel, okay, not waking up at 5 or 6 is not like a normal thing, because
Hmm.
your brain thinks this is right, that's why you were doing it for so long. So it's very important to understand, because we are all driven by our brain. Our brain is continuously being tuned what we do. If you do the right thing, the brain thinks this is exactly important and very productive for me, so I have to give more focus to it. It's,
Okay.
your brain
So
always remembers things which is being done repeatedly. So if you
hmm.
read one book for 5 times, your brain thinks this is something important, I have to keep it in my memory for a long term. So then the brain keeps it and pushes it to the long term memory. But if you just see one book for 5 minutes and then move to the next book and go away, it will stay in the short term memory and then it will get erased. So to
Hmm.
keep things in a long term memory, you have to repeatedly do those things.
Yeah.
And the easiest
So
way to repeatedly do is already add it to what you already do repeatedly.
hmm, hmm, hmm. So adding it to an existing behavior, so this
Yeah,
curiosity thing can be made as a habit and linked with an older habit. I think these are like
exactly.
very simple ideas, but if they are implemented, so for example, nobody would think about that I want to develop more curiosity, right? But if this simple thing is made a habit, then in the long term it can like totally change someone's life, right?
Because the best thing is the same way, like, this Instagram is an addiction. The
Yeah.
same way, this thing will also become an addiction. This curiosity will also become an addiction, because
Oh,
you
okay.
will develop this habit of searching. Then because you enjoy it, you will do it more and more. And the best, like for example, let's say you search uh, uh, the most incredible animals in the world. Okay, just search it in YouTube, most incredible animals. What happens? You will find, let's say, one video of 3 minutes. You click on it, you will see five animals. When you click it, the recommendation will already show what would be the videos where you see incredible animals again. What are
Yeah.
the interesting things? And then you just get addicted to information,
Yeah.
continuously getting more information. You spend 1 hour, and the same way you normally spend 1 hour, but this 1 hour you were just looking at some funny videos, but now you are looking at 1 hour of just pure incredible information for you.
Okay. Okay. So,
So
according to you, is this a good idea to be addicted to curiosity? I mean, uh, even though it's an addiction, but it's taking us in the right direction, so
yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
good thing.
everything you do, good or bad. Do you think Elon Musk working like 70 or 90 hours, he
Hmm.
does it because he's also addicted to work. he
Okay.
he is
Yeah.
addicted because he just thinks, if I'm not working, I feel like abnormal, I don't like it. So
Yeah.
there is,
Yeah.
every time you are doing extraordinary, you will be addicted to that. But the good thing
Okay.
is, you have to make sure you're addicted to the right things.
Right things. Okay.
Yeah,
Makes
so
sense. Yeah.
addiction is not a bad thing, but addiction to the right things, addiction to helping people is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not, addiction is a bad word, of course, but it's not really bad if you do it the right way.
If we call it like a long-term habit, I think that's a better
Exactly.
word for.
Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this particular conversation and it helped you in some way, shape, or form. If it did, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification icon or the bell icon so that you can get notified on time whenever the next part is out. Also, it would be really great if you could give me your feedback in the comments below. That would really help me improve. I'm uploading small clips of the long podcasts on a regular basis on platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So make sure to follow me on these platforms if you're someone who cannot take out time for the long episodes. The podcasts are also available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify and Google Podcasts.